so much, and thank you, Pierre. I will speak for a very short amount of time because I have things that I want to hit, and if anyone has questions afterwards, I would be happy to answer them, but I wouldn't be speaking for long. I'm speaking from a very particular context. I'm a Black female educator. So I cannot say that I am speaking as a global educator because, like Eilish said, that itself is a problematized concept, and I don't really want to go into that. I will say I'm a critical educator, and I teach on an initial teacher education program, and I am Black. I will keep coming back to the fact that I am Black because I think it's a very important point of some of the things I want to share. So again, I'm stating clearly that I'm speaking from this context, not as anyone else. And I've been asked to speak a bit about the challenges that we see in this sector of work, but also the opportunities. And I think the first challenge I would really like to talk about is actually the second on my list, but it sounds nicer if I bring it up, so I will pretend as though that is the first challenge. The first challenge I want to talk about is truly embedding what we are calling global citizenship education, or all the other kinds, or all the other subsets of this into the curriculum. What we find now, and I was sitting into a discussion at the last activity where someone says it is a good thing now in every college, in every university, global citizenship education is there, which is the truth. You see it there. But I find as a person in practice, as a person in the field, it is there as almost a tick box exercise. And I feel really bad saying this because there are people in this room doing incredible work and giving in their best. But I'll give an example. So I came into a session where I had to examine students who had sat in a global citizenship education program for a week. It was an intense week of training. And I came in for the presentations because the lecturer who was supposed to sit into the presentation fell ill suddenly, and I came in for her. And after a week of intense training, what I did find was that the presentations were some of the racist I had ever heard. So there had been a week of intense, and they continued talking about how intense, how eye-opening it was. Did the educators do a good job? Absolutely, but I'm not sure how it worked. And again, I can throw up problems. Maybe together we can find an answer to this. That's one example. The second example I have to talk about embedding stuff is the fact that you come into a setting and they say, oh, Lilian's class is done now. Can we go back to real life, and continue? So people are compartmentalizing global citizenship education, and it is losing the power that it should have. So my first challenge is how to embed this. Now, I have a bit of the answer to that. You can see me later for the answer, but that's the challenge. The second challenge I want to talk about again, and Eilish talked about this while she was speaking, is this dichotomy between the individual and the systemic. And I am sort of taking, even though I'm saying exactly the same thing the key speaker is saying, I'm turning it on its head. What I find in practice is that people are saying, oh, this is too individual, let's focus on the systemic. And they are forgetting, and that's why I started by saying I'm speaking as a Black educator, because I know what I suffer as an individual in this kind of work that maybe my white counterparts might not suffer. So what I get from white students who want to be resistant is that, yes, I want to talk about the environment. I want to talk about the poverty far away. I want to talk about homelessness. But if I bring up racism, you're getting too personal. Let's keep it to the systemic. So I'm saying we have to strike a balance because individuals create the systems and the systems make the world what the world is right now. So we have to find a balance. If not, educators like myself will burn out. I am struggling, and that again is the next one, so don't worry, I'm not going off on a tangent. It is my next challenge. There's an isolation. There's a loneliness for some of us who do this kind of work. And this doesn't only happen to Black people. I'm not saying it does, but I'm speaking, remember I said I'm speaking from a particular perspective. There's an isolation, there's a loneliness that talking about the systems might not address. And if we keep burning out, who does the work? So the isolation, the loneliness, and I know that these are not high-sounding theoretical things, but these are the things I am finding in practice are my challenges. Again, I have the answer for the isolation part, so you can see me later for that. One other challenge I would like to speak about is a lack of humility from those of us who are the trainers. So it's one thing to stand and say, oh, I'm so woke now, I'm a trainer, I'm a global citizenship education trainer, I know all these things. What I find is that people are that way, and yet they have also internalized a lot of oppression. And I'm not pointing fingers at anyone, this includes the speaker. But if there is no humility, you will be unable to stop and say, wait a minute, I just did what I'm accusing people of. So what I find is that when I say, excuse me, have you thought about what you just said? The person says, what do you mean? I'm a global citizenship educator, I'm a this, X, Y, Z. No humility whatsoever, and you cannot do this work without humility. Because every single one of us in this room, in some shape or form, has internalized some form of oppression that we are fighting. If there is no humility, you will never turn the mirror on yourself, and that's why I said it includes myself. It is a massive issue. Because the people who seem to know most about these things without the humility are the most difficult to reach. Because they keep telling you, no, that can never be me, and it is them. And the last challenge is that I fear that global citizenship education might become a buzzword. And that's the worst thing that can happen to any progressive kind of education. When people begin to throw it about and say, oh yeah, we do GCE. Oh, we do GCE. We're great because we do GCE. I fear it becomes a buzzword. It will not become a buzzword if we continue to do this kind of things, this kind of conferences, and in smaller, and again, I'm giving the answer to one of the challenge, but the smaller communities of practice, we can continue to talk about it, but radicalize it. And I think the keynote speaker spoke about that a lot. If we take the radicalness out of global citizenship education, it will become a buzzword, like EDI has become a buzzword. Someone was racist to me, oh no, that's not possible, we have an EDI policy, wow. So it can become, and it is a real danger that I hope will not happen. What are some things that we can all do? Communities of practice. I can't tell you how valuable it is when I can sit down with colleagues, even though they are just 3 or they are just 2, to talk about some of the challenges of the work, but also some of the isolation and the burden. I come back to isolation, I come back to the burdens, because as a Black educator, we are very few. I don't know anyone who has seen the HEA report, 99.7% of Irish teachers are white, surprise, surprise. So there is one of me in every 100. So every time I can find people who understand the systemic, understand the true nature of the criticalness of what we're doing, those kinds of communities of practice are invaluable to us. One more, I'm sure I have one more second. I think that there is a need to retrain the trainers, retrain those of us who are sitting in this room, because we are the woke ones, like we are the ones who know what's going on. There's need to retrain with a spotlight of, you are not so great after all. And I do say that to my students, and I say it to myself, get over yourself. Like, if we are going to do this work, we have to turn the mirror on ourselves, and we need to understand the critical aspect. God bless the keynote speaker who talked about Paulo Freire, who talked about bell hooks, the real things that these people were talking about, the power imbalance, the systems, the structures. And we have to put our money where our mouths are, because we can't keep saying, oh, we want an even, beautiful world. And there are no Black. I walked into a solace meeting. There was it was monochromatic. What kind of policies are we truly going to pass if it is a monochromatic meeting? I will shut up now. One more thing. You come, the people who are doing curriculum, the people who are teaching, if they are all one color, no matter how intelligent they are, they will miss it. What kind of knowledge are we prioritizing? I have a brother over there who is doing, but in Africa we're all brothers, who is doing indigenous knowledge. What kind of knowledge are we bringing into our spaces? I will really shut up now, but I will end by saying that these things matter. We can't keep talking about the theory and not see that there is a problem in the actual system. Let's put our money where our mouths are, something like that. Perfect. Thank you.